Yo, what's good, everyone? And welcome back to another Jets episode on the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. It is August 29th at 6:30 p.m. D-Day has gone by for football players all over the land, specifically at 4 p.m. on this Tuesday deadline. The preseason is over, and the New York Jets are healthy at practice today. What a world. I could smell the fall in the air. New York just creeping back up at night. And man, we are ready for football. So before we get into the 53-man roster cuts, there's some eye-opening ones. There's some Joe Douglas roster maneuvers. We'll get into all that. But first, we have not reacted to the Jets-Giants preseason game. I mean, it is everything any Jets fan can ever ask for. I finally put on my Aaron Rodgers shirt. It's officially time to ball out. He played 2 full drives. First drive got messed up by his buddy, his old pal that he brought back. He brought with him from Green Bay. So we'll talk about that for a second. And the second drive was a beautiful touchdown to Garrett Wilson that honestly, man, I can't think of a Jets quarterback ever, including ever, just forever, that can make that throw. So,
in our lifetime.
I'm living on cloud 9 right now. And Greg, I need your thoughts, man. I need your thoughts here before we get into the doom and gloom of the 53-man roster and all that type of, honestly, it's really tough to maneuver around that. I'm so happy that the Jets did not allow Hard Knocks to feature the cuts because I do not want to be watching that tonight. So that's really cool. But talk to me about that preseason game and just that little tidbit from Sauce Gardner too, guarding Hyatt, like just the little sound effects that they gave us. I can't wait for Hard Knocks this week. What are your thoughts on the preseason game, man?
I mean, it was incredible. I mean, that Hyatt incompletion might be one of the most viral things going around the internet right now. And it wasn't even close to being a reception. And it's all about Hyatt, just how good he looks at all that stuff. So, I mean, I got him in a couple best ball leagues. I'm excited for him. I think he was great at Tennessee. I think he's going to be good in the NFL. I don't know what Daniel Jones is going to look like passing the ball deep. I think that's something to be,
Captain
to watch
Daniel
out
Jones
for.
to you.
Yeah,
the whole team is captain.
I mean, he had no shot on Sauce, and most people don't. It's no knock on him. It's just how good Sauce is. So I think it's been great to see from Sauce. As seeing all the starters out there, I mean, it looked incredible. I think on one Jets drive last night, they kind of highlighted a little bit how Q Will was taking up so much that Jermaine Johnson got a nice sack. Like, that's just how hopefully it's going to go all season long for us. And Quentin Williams is obviously the best defensive tackle in the league, but some of the guys that we brought in, some of the guys that we're developing, I'm very happy to see how they're progressing too on the interior of the defensive line, because as we know from last season, not only passing the ball to tight ends and running backs, but sometimes the run game was a little suspect for us here and there. So hopefully we sure that up in this offseason. The team looks great.
Davis was getting in the mix, man. Ashton Davis was putting away those anyone could run on us rumors.
Yeah, I mean, some of these safety, Tony Adams, I mean, a lot of these safeties coming in, making plays, making tackles. So we talked a little bit about the offense. I know this isn't Winning Picks Weekly, but go check it out also on the channel. Going to start having, obviously, weekly episodes. But next week, we're going to have our NFC, AFC previews. One AFC preview bet I like, John, if you go to FanDuel, the division futures, Garrett Wilson to lead the AFC East in receiving plus 350. I mean,
I like that.
You got Tyreek Hill. He's been injured a few times. You got Stephon Diggs, not very happy with where he's at right now in Buffalo. Those guys are plus money as well. But, dude, Garrett Wilson, I mean, everyone's talking about that touchdown because it's the best touchdown I've ever seen the Jets quarterback throw and receive in my lifetime. But just every chance that it seemed like Aaron Rodgers had to throw Garrett Wilson the ball, he's throwing him the ball. He could have 100-something, 120 receptions and 1,800 yards. It's crazy to say, but if he's healthy and Rodgers throws it that much, it's gonna be electric. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, I don't think we compare last year enough to this season because I know that there's a lot of hype around these Jets. I would also be sick of the New York Jets if I wasn't a Jets
Yeah.
fan. It is on every program. Everyone's so I also understand why the hot take now is to take the opposite way and say they're going to stink. I think perspective is important. Last season, and we'll get into it next week when we get into, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, Greg, the week 1 preview.
It's
All right,
crazy.
we'll get into all that. But from a Garrett Wilson standpoint, he had Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Chris Trevler, and Mike White. And he had the best wide receiving season since Brandon Marshall, who had our best wide receiver season ever. And I think Garrett Wilson's going to surpass that this year, especially with Corey Davis being out and Alan Lazard, who can't finish a season. I mean, I think there's
And
going to be
Lazard already hurt. AC joint right didn't play. Mecole Hardman hurt his hand. Like, it's going to be the Garrett Wilson show all season long.
And, Randall Cobb made a note. Was it one Jets drive? Or maybe it was like a Hard Knocks clip. I really can't differentiate at this point.
Yeah.
But he was talking to Randall Cobb was talking to the receivers about how, if you make mistakes, Aaron Rodgers is going to kind of cut you out because he doesn't like to throw interceptions. And I thought it was really interesting how the last open practice I mentioned in the last episode too, I mentioned every single tight end got a throw. And, depending on how it went, Rucker, he missed one, then caught one. CJ missed one. Conklin caught it. And Kuntz missed it. And then we have kind of the same thing re-showing in this preseason game, right? The first snaps with Rodgers throwing to his tight end, kind of barking at them. I don't know who was wrong on that, but I think Aaron Rodgers has a clue who was wrong on that. He was screaming. So, and especially when we talk about how, Kuntz didn't make the team and how Yabo was on the team. We'll get into that in the 53-man roster in a little bit. It's going to be really interesting what's going on with the offense. But, man, I can't go any further without talking about how excited I am that Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall were healthy today in practice. It's all about health. And when you change it up to the other side of the ball, Carl Lawson practicing today, right, along with Dwayne Brown, the offensive line. I mean, things are coming together. But before we move on from the preseason game, I got to shout out to Eccles, who is suspended for the first game.
Yeah.
But, he played really well. And there's always like that question mark of, if someone's going to be suspended, they're always allowed to play in the preseason. So everyone's always looking at how they look, right? Like Jameson Williams was one, and he ended up getting hurt. And, now we have Alvin Kamara, who I don't think played the entire preseason.
Yep.
And now we have Eccles, who's only missing one game, granted, but he's coming out. I am feeling good about Eccles coming back and putting some very much needed depth at the cornerbacks because the starters are unbelievable, but the depth falls out pretty hard.
I agree with that. 100%. And just seeing him play well, we'll get into it when we talk about who made the roster and who didn't. I agree with you. Like we talked about, there's not a lot of holes to fill this offseason. I've said that a few times, but there is some depth to kind of backstop these guys in case injuries happen. We know injuries are going to happen. It's just a matter of where. So, having good depth pieces. And it seems like a lot of these backups have had a pretty good preseason. The starters really haven't played too much. They've had plenty of opportunities. Some of them have shown out. Chaz Surratt, your boy, had a nice interception. He's been playing good on special teams. Like, there's a lot of opportunities for these guys. So I'm happy to see the defense coming together.
And the coach loves him, Greg.
Yeah. He's fast.
He's fast.
Direct quote from Robert Saleh. He's fast.
And without further ado, let's just get into the cuts. We have it on the official NewYorkJets.com website.
Perfect.
So no more crazy rumors from X/Twitter, which has been going crazy all day, especially on cut day.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start on the offense. The notable one, of course, is Jerome Cap / B Rabbit, who got cut. But in a little bit more serious note, Zonovan Knight, our boy Bam, who the writing was kind of on the wall for him, and they're saying that he might be subjected to waivers because people were calling for a trade. But I don't know. People were calling for a trade. Why wouldn't you just take any trade if you're gonna waive him anyway?
Yeah, that always doesn't make sense.
So I'm not really sure what that means. Another interesting one from the offense is our fullback Nick Bowden, who practiced today,
Yeah.
right? And he got cut. So more on that in a little bit. Tim Boyle, the quarterback who presumably just follows Rodgers around. I'm pretty sure he'll make it to the practice squad. I think Travis Dye will make it to the practice squad. I think maybe Jerome Cap honestly might make it to the practice squad too. Uh, Erickson, I'm not sure, but maybe Malik Taylor. He was one of the ones on the bubble, but those aren't really
Yep.
surprising. Kuntz was surprising, but he'd probably make it to the practice squad as well. Any thoughts on the offense? A couple offensive linemen. Gregson, he'll probably be back on the practice squad. I feel like he's always back and forth. Same with Grant Hermans.
Yeah, not anything too crazy. I think that over the past few years, there's been a lot from the front offices around the league and like salary cap manipulation and like what you can do with like front loaded contracts, bonuses, how they structure everything. I feel like the next wave of that is going to be like this roster manipulation with this new rule coming in about like you just cut down to 53 all at once. Where in years past, as the preseason went on, you had to cut your roster down more and more. The extra QB that you get on game day is an active roster spot, but he's not a game day roster spot. So even from the 53 man, you have to cut your roster down even more for game day. So I think there's some interesting roster stuff going on here. I think, like you're saying, a lot of these guys are probably going to be back on the practice squad. Like Tim Boyle's going to be on the practice squad. I don't know if he's going to be on the active roster, but if he's going to go from the practice squad to the game day emergency quarterback, QB3. Either way, I'm hoping he's still around because Rodgers likes him and he seems to be doing pretty good. One person we haven't talked about, I know we kind of got into it, we kind of moved away from the preseason talk. I'm going to talk about it every chance I get. Dude, I think Zach Wilson's looking good. I think Zach Wilson looks confident. I'm happy that he's doing his thing. He looks like he's vibing with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm hoping some of that rubs off on Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall a little bit in this running back room.
Well, the running back room is very interesting, man, because first of all, Izzy is here, but if Izzy's going to be injured, I wonder what that really means for the running back room. And it's interesting that they cut Knight, right? So maybe that's why they didn't trade him. Just complete speculation here that maybe they're hoping that he doesn't go through waivers and he passes through, and they're able to keep him and then put Izzy on the injured, list, because you talked about some roster manipulation. But speaking of roster manipulation and the craziest news that came down the wire from the New York Jets today, we all, and I mean all of Jets Nation freaked out simultaneously, was the cut by our boy Tommy Morstead, right? Our punter, who was not only unbelievable, but he's Randall Cobb's favorite player to watch, according to Randall Cobb. And, Tommy Morstead has been our best punter, I don't know, since Tom Tupa, it feels like. So, I mean, I don't know. So,
yeah, maybe better.
The reason why it seems that he got cut was because, and he posted an RELAX Jets Nation tweet or X, whatever you want to call it. So the speculation is because he's a veteran, he's not subjected to waivers. He's just a free agent and he's not going to be signing with another team. So,
right. So just a distinction for people, waivers, if you go on waivers and someone claims you, you have to go to that other team compared to being a free agent. If someone else is interested in you, you don't have to. You can choose to not sign with them. So because he's a veteran, he gets that option.
And the waiver priority goes by last year's record.
Yep.
So as we're sitting here, in order for the Jets, for example, Warren Carter, the offensive lineman we got from Pitt, in order for the Jets to move him to the injured list, they had to keep him on the roster. So that's probably going to be the move, in my opinion, for Morstead to get him back on. So that's going to be a quick 1-for-1. Another interesting one is the cornerback from LSU, Bernard Converse. He's just going to start on the PUP list, which is probably fine. Do you see any other weird maneuvers / cuts going on? Because Greg, if I have to be honest, man, the fact that all these wide receivers are still on the team and also Kenny Yeboah along with Ruckert. It's kind of interesting, right? Because Bowden needs a spot too.
Sure.
So I mean, he practiced today, so I can't imagine it was like, oh, let's just see one more time. That seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I think right. I think we would know about our fullback position without the
and,
practice today. Yeah.
and then on the other hand, when Eccles comes back, he's going to need a spot. We just talked about him.
Yep.
So that's really two spots we need to clear up. I wonder if that's going to come from the wide receivers, where Irv Charles is here, Xavier Gibson, who shout out to him for being so great on special teams as well. Jason Brownlee. You think those are going to be the moves? You think it's going to be Kenny Yeboah? Or you think it's going to be come from the defense? Where do you think these, let's call it, two spots are going to come from after week one?
Yeah, I think Kenny Yeboah is definitely one we've talked about a lot. I know you like him, but I mean, just running 4 tight ends into the season with possibly Kuntz on the PUP, you just drafted him.
Well,
Doesn't make
hopefully
it
practice squad.
or the practice squad. That's what I meant to say on the practice squad. Keeping 5 tight ends on your roster just seems like a lot out of 53. Talk about 10% of your roster to the tight end position. The wide receivers, though, man, like I kind of said a few minutes ago, I'm starting to get a little nervous about this wide receiver room. I mean, are we really gonna? Alan Lazard is an AC joint. I think he's dealt with an AC joint in years past. That comes from a few different things, but it's your shoulder. So you catch a high flying ball, you land on it funny, you hurt it. He does that a lot because he's a phenomenal wide receiver when healthy. So that could be a problem. Mecole Hardman, I don't know what he did to his left hand, but he hurt his left hand. Wide receivers need their hands to catch the ball.
Like a finger. Yeah.
Or a finger. He needs his fingers. He needs his hands to catch the ball. Despite, I don't know what you saw. Did you see Michael Irvin and going back and forth with what's his name about catching the ball in their body versus catching the ball in your hands?
Richard Sherman, Skip, and somebody else.
I'm gonna go with Richard Sherman on this one. I think you need to use your hands to catch the ball. So with these two guys being injured already, we're looking at Garrett Wilson and a few other guys that are just new to this team. Yeah, Randall Cobb. So I don't trust Randall Cobb all season long. So, I think I think our wide receivers are deep, and I think our wide receivers are set because we're going to need this depth throughout the season. I would say Kenny Yeboah maybe. Nothing on the defensive side stuck out to me besides a couple of the names that got cut. But as far as people that we're keeping on the roster, nothing really stands out to me. What do you think, though? Do you think there's a clear person or two on defense that we're going to end up getting rid of?
I don't really see Brownlee and Irvin Charles and Xavier Gibson hanging out in the back of this wide receiver depth chart. We have way too many wide receivers and not enough playing time for them. So I kind of see them maybe hanging out for 1 week and then cutting one of them. Probably, in all honesty, probably Irvin Charles because he's been here for so long.
Yeah.
Jason Brown is kind of the new kid, and I think Yeboah. I think honestly those two are going to be the casualties to go for Eccles.
You talked about Carter Warren, right, going on the PUP and bringing back Bones. So, is there anyone else maybe that might be starting out on the PUP? I know Carl Lawson was back at practice today, but is there anyone else on the defense that has been banged up? Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge either, but I need Carl Lawson to just be there. I even if he gets like 10 snaps a game, you mentioned Jermaine Johnson, and I kind of skipped over it. I think this is Jermaine Johnson's year, man. I remember how excited I was when he was at Florida State. I remember how excited I was when we drafted him. And last year was, not an amazing year, but he showed crazy flashes. And I think this is the year, man. I don't know if it's a slimming number 11 because he looks faster to me. He's been run stopping as well. Man, I am so excited about this defense. But you mentioned somebody on the defense that kind of caught your eye that got cut. What's on your mind, Greg? What's on your mind about this defense?
Yeah, right. Was it a Dean at safety? I feel like he's been playing really well for us. I'm kind of surprised to see him there. We've talked about safety position kind of being a little bit weak for us, but again, that's another room where there's a lot of guys. Obviously, Tony Adams has stepped up. Everyone's talked him up, so he's there with Whitehead. We brought in, was it Amos in the off season? So
Clark got hurt.
Yeah, we paid him a bunch of money, so obviously he's going to get some snaps, some playing time. So I guess we don't need to keep 4 or 5 guys, but I don't know. Dean's just been stepping up. Maybe it's just a product of like again trying not to get married to the tackle numbers. He's gotten a lot of tackles, but he's also been playing a lot because he's been playing with a second and third team. So maybe they saw something. Obviously, they saw something in the tape that made them cut him. But you know, we need people stopping the run. We just can't have people running on us like we did last year.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he makes it to the practice squad. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry about the 5th safety being cut. However, when you do look at it from like even like a slightly zoomed out lens, like you don't have to be very theoretical here. I mean, next year Whitehead's gone, Ashton Davis is gone, Amos is gone, and we have to probably re-sign Tony Adams. Like we don't have a safety on the roster next year. I mean, I know we're not thinking about that. That's why I'm saying just a little zoom out. But if next year we're sitting here and Trey Dean ends up, honestly, if he ends up, and it sucks to say, but if he ends up like Jason Pollock, right, the kid from Pitt, and now he's on the Giants,
he's playing well.
That would suck for us. So I get the trepidation there. But any other huge? I mean for me, the fact that Chesterrat made it gets me so hyped.
Yeah, Chesterrat's great. I mean, we need linebacker play. He has a couple plays here in this preseason. To me, maybe it's a little bit more of a story of people that are on the list. You talked about Ashton Davis. I'm kind of surprised to see him here. After all the years that he's been on this roster, hasn't done anything for us. We're giving him his 4th shot now with this team to make an impact. And then, I mean, we need depth at cornerback, but Bryce Hall out here, he's making the squad again.
Dude, you can't kill him, bro. You
like
cannot
kill
Bryce
I feel
Hall.
like he's the next like Mims. Like, what are we doing out here? Like, how many times are we going to talk about this guy not doing anything?
Okay, but here's the thing: if DJ Reed, let's say he has to tie his shoe. All right, let's not bring any negative energy. Let's say he has to tie his shoe one play.
Yeah, just get Gatorade. Gets a little water.
What are we gonna do? We need a cornerback in there. Like that's gonna be Bryce Hall. So that's why I'm not like listen. The starters are amazing, like I keep mentioning, but the depth is needed. Like Michael Carter takes a step out, Eccles steps in, amazing. Gardner, you're gonna stay in. Like Reed, you're gonna stay in. But like what if like they just have to sit out for one play, out of breath? Gardner has to run, 60 yards, and then he has to take it. Who's going to sub in? Like, move DJ Reed to the 1, Bryce Hall to the 2. I don't mind the depth. If I'm being honest. But Greg, I mean, well, first of all, last thing I want to mention is I want to say that, I mean, I know if you're listening right here, you're a true diehard Jets fan because we're still 13 days away from from the first real live action. The 53-man cut was today, so we're talking about like the back of the rosters. But I have to just give myself credit for this one thing. I never do this, but I was right about Jimmy Moreland, Greg. Jimmy Moreland, the cornerback who we're putting on the injured list. He was number 33. Yesterday, the news came out from the Jets PR that number 33 Moreland's going to the injured list, and today number 33 Dalvin Cook is out and practicing. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying I was right.
You called it from a mile away.
I was like, bro, who is this guy number 33? I was on to him from the very beginning, man.
There was a guy like that last year too who like made a play and like his like hair was covering his like nameplate, and you were like at the game. And you were like, who is this? Like, who's 46? I forget what the number was. But you're like, who is this guy? Same thing. Who is 33?
Who is 33? Why is he here? Where's Dalvin?
Yeah.
And now we know everything's a little bit cleared up there. But honestly, this is a quick episode. The roster cuts are fine for me.
Yeah.
Nothing was surprising. Of course, Morstead was surprising, but he's going to be back. I'm thinking that it's a quick switch for Warren. We're going to have to get Bowden back in there. I don't know who it's going to be for. I'm assuming a wide receiver, but other than that, I feel like it's pretty decent. I'm hoping that Cap gets to the practice squad. I'm hoping that Trey Dean gets to the practice squad. I'm hoping that Bam Knight makes it to the practice squad. I'm not hopeful about it, but I'm hoping, but I'm not. I wouldn't bet on it. And Travis Dye, he'll be there. That'll be fine. But that's about it, man. With 13 days, Greg, 13 days from the Jets opener, which is great because that's the last game.
Yeah.
On Thursday, we have football, man.
Yep.
NFL football. We had a little week 0 college going on that gives a little taste.
This weekend we got college football Saturday and Sunday. Shout out Jared Verse. Shout out Florida State. Let's go kick out LSU's ass this weekend.
Imagine, dude. I don't even. That's the one game where no matter what happens, I'm hyped because I have LSU and I have Florida State everywhere. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I have them both winning. So not this game, but just like
the
respective
season,
divisions. Yeah. So man, I'm excited. And shout out to Sam Hartman. I can't wait to see where Sam Hartman plays next year.
I wonder if his Heisman odds are still 1,600 because I might hop on the train.
Hop on the Sam Hartman train, Greg.
Dude, he looked good. Notre Dame looked good. They got a running back. They got an offensive line. They got Sam Hartman.
And Bo Nix is in my city, Greg. I drive to New York City, and Bo Nix is just chilling right there. Huge Oregon Bo Nix. I mean, my quarterbacks are following me, man. Let's go. Let's go, Jets. We'll be back next week, Wednesday or Thursday night. We'll be back officially on the post games starting next week. Greg, I cannot wait.
I can't wait. Yeah. Wednesday or next Thursday, we're doing the preview for the Jets episode. A lot of Winning Picks Weekly stuff. So go check that out on the channel, Winning Picks Weekly on Twitter. And like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. So close to that 500 mark. It will really help us to get there. So we appreciate the support. And let us know what you guys think. I mean, did we miss someone on that? Was a surprise on this cut list that you guys think should have been cut? Surprised that someone's still on the roster? Let us know.
Let us know, baby. JETS, Jets. And if you're going to Jets Bills, hit me up. Let me know. I'll be there. And I can't wait. Let's go. JETS, Jets.